And let's listen to what CNN calls the top investigators of this case.
You collected numerous devices, but you collected an active phone that he had. What did you find on that phone?
Well, the phone, it just provided us and matched up everything.
Yeah, right. You didn't find anything. And that's what's amazing about these interviews.
That we mostly already had. We'd already conducted search warrants and had a lot of his activity, a lot of his phone usage. When we actually had the physical phone and we were able to do the extract of it, we didn't gain a lot from it. We know that he was clearing a lot of his devices and wiping things from them. We know that he used VPNs. But we also did find screenshots and pictures of news coverage of Moscow.
Okay, so what happened to all the pictures of the girls? Do you remember that, Dateline? He had them on his phone. He had pictures of Maddie and Kaylee, but the only ones that had Kaylee were the ones with Maddie.
We'll also reveal records from Kohberger's cell phone that are in the possession of law enforcement and Google searches regarding the serial killer Ted Bundy. We have also seen these. Dozens of photos in Kohberger's cell phone, browsing history, women from Washington State and the University of Idaho, including close friends of the King Road victims.
Now we just had news? Shit, I'm sure tons of people in Moscow and surrounding areas saved the news. They didn't have anything. They had nothing. Nothing.
On the case.
Correct.
Okay, that's not damning evidence. Everybody followed the case. You had nothing. This makes me so mad.
That's so classic.
Right.
It has been said that there were pictures on his phone of groups of young people in Moscow, and that Maddie, possibly Kaylee, were in some of those photos. Is there any truth to that?
No truth at all. There was not.
No truth? Who leaked it to Dateline then? Okay, I want to know. Okay, let's go a step further. Is the investigation into the leakers still going on? Are they still investigating who leaked the photos that had all the students with their friends on his phone? Because who gave those to Dateline? Because they look like they just came off his phone. Like there were pictures taken of his phone. Did they not?
To this date, we have never found a single connection, anything, between any of the four victims or the other two surviving roommates with him. No pictures, no texts, no. There was rumor, speculation that he was following some of them on different social media sites. There was sites that were sent to us of, hey, this is him, he's following. They were either untrue or they were sites that people made that were completely fake. And
how do you know? What people? Who? Who are they? It was a source in law enforcement that leaked it. And remember, the judge was doing a whole ass investigation. What happened to that? Of course, they're trying to protect the university. That's been it since day one. And there's even more truth to it because there was that report that Payne wrote about the mother calling because her daughter from WSU saw photos of her in the Dateline episode. Oh my God, I haven't gotten to that.
So we had to research and go into every single one of those just to prove or debunk what somebody had made up. And of course, then that spread to the media, and it went wild that he was following or there was a connection, and there wasn't. We wanted that, I think naturally we need that, what's the connection, what's the why, and we have found zero, never any connection.
I saw the amount of search warrants that you applied for and got returns on, and I don't think we saw the returns, but the work you were doing was monumental going through everything, and I saw that in the documents. Back at the house, we have now learned, because documents that have not been public have now been made public, and Xana Kernodle found on the floor over 50 stab wounds many of them, much of them, defensive. Can you explain that? Put that into layman's terms.
Listen to this answer.
The wounds
Listen.
and the defensive aspect of them.
Listen.
She fought. She fought back. And she fought hard. And that's
That's it?
unless Darren can expand on that, that's primarily the reason.
Yeah, that was. Xana absolutely fought. And we know that Xana was up. We know that Xana had just gotten her DoorDash shortly before this and was actively up. And so, yeah, she did. She fought.
So as she fought back, he kept stabbing.
The fight just continued, yes.
Kaylee, in the documents that just became public, there was a preliminary autopsy report that said she was stabbed over 20 times. Mr. Gonsalves said, and we haven't seen the final autopsy, but he has said she was stabbed, Kaylee, over 30 times. Do you know the amount of times she was stabbed?
We do. We know the exact amount of times that every one of them was stabbed. And it's not something that we would speak about for the privacy of the families.
Why? What does that mean? I have never seen them. These aren't, minors. Yeah, Bayou, isn't this weird? I mean, what?
And but I can tell you, we've met with families, and his information that he has is very accurate.
Well, we know because of the public documents her face was unrecognizable. And then the concept of, okay, a second weapon. Where do you stand on that to set the record straight?
Yeah, we believe that there was one primary weapon. The same knife was used to kill all four. As has been reported, and I think the family has spoke to this, Kaylee was struck in the face. And
they want to talk about Kaylee, right? Right. Like, they have no problems talking about Kaylee's injuries here.
And we don't know what caused the marks that were left by it.
How can they not know? See, this is what gets me, man.
It wasn't fatal, and we just don't know what caused that. And we've never located, obviously, the knife that we know did kill all four, and we don't know what was used to do that.
Now, a fist can be a deadly weapon.
Right.
The injuries to the face, could that have simply been from a hand on her face?
No.
He says no.
So you believe the injuries to her face came from something other than his fist?
Yes, I think the fist could have been part of it, but it certainly appears something else struck her to cause the marks that we saw that is not consistent with a fist.
What about marks near her mouth that came out? I believe they came out in public documents. Bound?
Yep.
Gagged?
And those are what I'm referencing, and no, it doesn't appear, there was no evidence that she was bound or gagged.
Are the marks from a knife?
No.
You really got to give it to this interview lady, because she's really trying to get some information, and they're just... They don't want this story to get any more gruesome and be a story to go down in history with the UI. What do you guys think of that? They don't want this gruesome story to be a part of their university story.
No.
So the reality is the extent of what was done to her may be a mystery forever.
Yeah, it may be.
Yeah, it just may be. She's speechless.
We saw publicly, it came out in legal filings, the selfie taken just hours
we go, the
after this
selfie.
all happened. He has a thumbs up. How do you interpret that picture?
Listen closely.
That's hard to answer without putting my own opinion into it. This individual, there's a lot of strange things about him and his demeanor and his way his brain works. So to say what I think that was would be pure speculation.
What about law enforcement theory? Because his thumb is up, right? His thumb is up.
Yeah, she's like, come on. You guys have to have a fucking theory of this goddamn selfie.
Denotes.
Right, but the reality was we have many, many other pictures of him, selfies, where he has a very similar pose.
Oh, boy. Which brought me to this. Freaking weird.
It wasn't just one unique that was only that way. That's probably the one that's circulated the most now. And I think you can make lots of speculation because of the timing, but the reality was there's other pictures where he has that similar pose.
Excellent point to put it in perspective. Thank you for that. Do you believe that he committed other murders before November 13th, 2022?
We don't. We don't have any evidence. We don't have anything that's ever been located or found. We certainly, by we, I mean the FBI, the Pennsylvania State Police, every law enforcement agency that would have been anywhere that he's ever been has taken a hard look into that, because that's certainly one of the first things you wonder. Has this occurred before? And there's nothing to support or show that he's ever done this before, and we don't believe that he ever had done it before.
So this would have been his first.
Yes.
They don't know that. They have no idea. They have no idea if this was his first.
Obviously, you believe he would have gone on to do this again?
I don't know. It's a great question. I don't know.
I was talking with a district attorney in California that said to me, Gene, he's a serial killer. And I guess by definition, because serial killer is 3 or more in that area, do you consider him a serial killer, even though it's one episode?
No, I don't. It's not a term we've used at all, but I would tell you we've just not looked at that or thought about that. We were obviously consumed by the investigation and the murders here. So I would certainly leave that to the experts. And
I just call him what he is. It's a murderer.
Quadruple murder.
Quadruple murder, and he will.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so profound. I just call him what he is, a murderer. We know nothing. When did he take the other selfies? Was it around the same time frame? Because maybe Bryan did other things and did thumbs up selfies after him. Maybe that was his mark, if you will. How do we know?
Now die in prison for doing that.
So you've studied this for 2.5 years. You were just on the eve before trial. It's complicated. What is your working theory as law enforcement investigators on why he did what he did?
That's the biggest question. And it's the same question we've had, and we've had it all along. But the reality is often we don't get the answers to the why. And I think even in some instances, and I think this certainly could be one of those, the why from him may make no sense at all to us and not even be explainable or understandable. So we don't have a motive. We don't have anything that has said, here's why, or here's the reason. We just don't have that.
Well, he used a knife, multiple stabbings. In law enforcement, what does it denote when you have a deadly weapon that is a knife?
I would say, I mean, typically, if you look back historically, a lot of crimes that are committed with knives are a little more personal. But again, that's also speculation. As Lieutenant Gilbertson said, we all would like to understand and make some sort of sense of why in this situation, but that's just something that I don't think we're ever going to know.
What are your thoughts about when he was in graduate school in Pennsylvania? He had a project, and he developed a questionnaire sending to convicted murderers around the country what their state of mind was before they committed the murder, during the time they were committing the murder, and after they committed the murder. What does that tell you about his state of mind in doing a project like that?
She is.
I think he's very consumed with it. And I would tell you, we looked into all of that. We obviously have everything that he studied, every project, every course that he's been in during all of his higher education, to include at WSU. And at the same time, though, anybody else that's in those fields, they're doing the similar things, the similar type projects. So none of those were a one-off to only him. We could find many, many, many other students that were also doing the same or very similar. It's hard to not look at it and view that as part of the overall, is that part of the why? Is that part of why he did this? And again, but it's just speculation and assumptions.
But I think you said something very valuable, consumed by it.
Right.
Because objectively speaking, when you look at everything, I think that is a reasonable conclusion, consumed.